I'm 26 years old and I'm just learning how to heal my inner child. A lot of my life has been me living for other people, and I think this is a topic that a lot of people can relate to. There's a lot of pressures from parents and peers and just life in general to live life a certain way. And a lot of my life was spent being who I thought other people felt like I should be instead of being who I really am. And that thought has really haunted me for a lot of my life because I felt like I never really knew who I was. And it would really frustrate me because down to topics like hobbies or just simple interests were very curated so that other people would like me. And I'm starting to realize that I don't have to buy into that lie, and I can figure out who I am in small, simple ways, such as noticing things I just like because I like them. So, when did this journey begin? This journey honestly began in my teens, but I didn't know it at the time that what most people were categorizing as teenage adolescent angst was actually me just trying to be myself and to like the things that I liked instead of following the social norms. And I think that for me, that was a big turning point to realize that who I was in my teens maybe was a little bit for shock value, with dyeing my hair and all kinds of unique ways of expressing myself. But also, it was me just saying that I don't want to fit into this mold that has been very heavily crafted for me and that I really felt so much pressure to be. And it just wasn't who I was, not in a, it's a phase mom kind of way, but I genuinely was just trying to say, hey, I don't agree with the way that most of society feels like you should look and behave and be in life. For example, I loved, dyeing my hair crazy colors and wearing unusual clothing in my teens. And then as I got into my 20s, I became a Christian again. I grew up Christian. I don't have anything wrong with Christians. If you're a Christian, that's fine. But for me personally, the mindset that I was a part of was that I had to be a perfect person. And that thought really destroyed me and ate up who I really was, because the truth is we're not perfect. And it's okay to make mistakes and to be unique and to be your genuine self. And I think even in subcultures, there's a lot of needing to look or act a certain way to be accepted by people. And I've just learned that the people who I am meant to be with and connect with and be around will come when I'm my genuine self. So I guess to sum it up, being who I am is not like I always thought about finding, the right set of characteristics or interests or looking visually a certain way, but it's just remembering who I was and the things that I liked, whether it was when I was a kid or in my teens or in my young adult years when there was things that I really wanted to do or really liked but felt like I couldn't say that because the people around me would have judged me for it. And I think this is a very interesting topic because in my teens, I still was following what I thought other people would like. I was following stereotypes and trying to make sure that I would fit into the category of the rebel, and like it still was just me trying to fit into a certain mold so that I would be liked by people. And it kind of reminds me of recently my husband and I watched a what's it called? Salt Lake City Punk, and I thought it's a crazy movie if you haven't seen it before. It's pretty wild and a lot of teenage angst, but or young adult angst. But one of the things that's so interesting at the end of the movie, sorry, spoiler alert if you're gonna watch the movie, but it's such an interesting movie because at the end of it all, despite all the craziness that he's doing and his friends doing and their rebellion against society, he's confronted with the question of, are you actually any different from the rest of society? Because you're just following a certain stereotype to fit into a certain group, and you're the same as everyone else, just a rebel version of it. You're still buying into the system of, you know, needing to belong or be a certain way so that people will like you or not like you or whatever. And it's still dependent on how other people feel about you, which again is like one of the biggest things that I think I'm just realizing about myself, is that I just need to shed those layers of caring so much about what other people think and doing things because I genuinely like them, not because it'll create a certain image for me to others. One of the other really big things that I've been learning lately is how high strung I am. And I grew up with a lot of stress in my life as a child. And the more I think about it, the more crazy my childhood feels. Because at the time it felt normal, you know, because I didn't know anything different. But a lot of my childhood was very stressful and explains why I have a lot of anxiety and struggle with not people pleasing, because that was so emphasized, but also just this idea of always having to work, always having to be busy, always having to have purpose behind why I'm doing something. And that was another big reason why I struggled to have hobbies, because I felt like everything I did had to have a reason, whether it was money or, you know, people noticing it and thinking, wow, that's so cool, like how'd you draw that or whatever, you know. And I don't know, maybe a year ago, this has been, you know, a slow journey. That's how healing is. It's not like you wake up one day and you're healed. But it was about a year ago. I had always loved painting, and I really wanted to get into watercolor painting. And I feel like watercolor painting is pretty hard and pretty technical, because it's, you know, very finicky and it's hard to fix mistakes. And I just started watercolor painting. I think I got a set for Christmas years before, but I never touched it. And I finally thought, you know, I'm just going to do it. I bought some nice paper and I started painting, and it was really, in my eyes, I just felt like, wow, this is so bad. Why am I doing this? Like, ugh, this is so not good. And I just told myself, I've got to just still do it. Okay, do it bad. It's fine. The only way I'm going to get better is if I practice more and more. And now to this day, I still watercolor and I really enjoy it. And some paintings come out really nice and I'm really proud of them. And some of them I'm just like, what? That was not what I thought it would be. But again, one of the things that's so interesting and changed my approach to art and watercolor was finding my own style instead of trying to copy others. For a long time, I just would try to make my things identical to things I saw online of Pinterest or YouTube or whatever. And again, it was the same thing. I was comparing myself to others and not really just authentically creating, not only from my skill level, but also from what I just thought would look nice or beautiful, or, you know, would just enjoy myself. And so again, a lot of this boils down to just being myself, allowing myself to be myself, being at peace with myself. And going back to not being so high strung. Sorry, I'm a little all over the place. I just woke up maybe an hour ago. But going back to not being so high strung, I'm in a place now where life is a lot slower, and but the buzzing inside has still kept going, you know. And so I've just been having to remind myself, like, it's okay, take a deep breath. You don't have to rush off to the next thing. Everything doesn't have to have a purpose. You can create something, for a couple hours that you might throw in the trash. It's okay. It doesn't have to feel like you're wasting time or energy or materials. Basically, I'm telling myself that it's okay to take up space, and I'm allowed to be my genuine self, not a self that, is curated so that others will like, no matter what stereotype, it would fall into, but being someone that I like being around, honestly. And I think that's really important, is to be someone you like being around, because family members will come and go, friends might come and go, but being someone that you can be at peace with is really important. And this is work that, still continues. I don't think I'm gonna ever 100% arrive, but I'm becoming more at peace with where I'm at and who I am, and being okay with sitting in the uncomfortableness. Another big thing lately that has been really exciting, and I'm actually going to go surf soon, is that, and a big part of why I feel like a lot of this shifting is happening is because I've also just lived in a lot of fear, whether it's, people, or fear of making mistakes. And especially I've had for all the years that I've been trying to surf and boogie board, I've really struggled with the fear of the ocean. I didn't grow up near the ocean, but I have had many opportunities to be able to get in the ocean in the last couple of years of my life. And I've always been really nervous about being out in bigger waves. And this last week, I had kind of a revelation that two things can be true at the same time. And, I can be scared and excited about being in the waves. And that's okay. It's actually okay for two things to be true at the same time. And I think that's another very important thing I've learned lately that applies to a lot of things. You might like something and someone else might not, and that's actually okay. Two things can be true at the same time. And I think that's another really big thing I've been learning lately, that the black and white version of me as a child felt like couldn't be true. So anyways, bit of a rambling talk, but I hope if you watch this video that maybe you'll take something helpful from it. And I'm excited to continue this journey of healing, because it's an ongoing journey, and every day there's new things to learn. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to hear more about things I'm learning or ideas that I've been having lately, subscribe if you want to. If not, I hope this video was helpful and encouraging for you to let yourself be more yourself, to not be so afraid to do things badly, and to overall just be okay with taking up space, because you matter, you're important, you're valuable, and you are ultimately loved. See you next time.